A National Guard member shot in an ambush attack in Washington, D.C. last week remains in critical condition today. Sergeant Andrew Wolfe was shot last Wednesday along with Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. Sadly, Beckstrom died from her injuries. The alleged shooter, Afghan national Rahmanullah Lakanwal, is now charged with first-degree murder. Investigators are seeking a motive for the attack, while the incident has prompted the Trump administration to pause all asylum decisions and suspend certain visas. Raul Reyes, an immigration attorney, joins me now to discuss. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
The White House said today that the Trump administration is actively re-examining all the Afghan nationals who entered the United States during former President Joe Biden's administration. How will this work from a legal and practical standpoint?
Well, from a practical standpoint, because this is still a developing story, it's unclear how that would work. But most likely, as I see it, if the government starts to reevaluate people's asylum grants and visas, what it will do, it will slow down our already very overburdened and dysfunctional immigration system. We have nearly 4 million cases pending in our immigration system. So when and if the government is to go back and review some of these cases that have already been adjudicated, it will just add to that backlog. On legal grounds, the president, of course, has very broad authority when it comes to immigration policy. However, he doesn't have unlimited power to reshape immigration law. That's why we've seen presidents from both parties make immigration decisions, often through executive order. It's too soon right now, I believe, to see what the Trump administration, the legal justification for some of their plans. But what I do foresee, just as we've seen in the past, is a lot of legal challenges, a lot of legal wrangling over restrictions on visas or green cards or even migration. Because again, although the president sets immigration policy, things like our visa program, refugee program, the people who enter on special immigrant visas, that's all decided by Congress. So right there, we sort of have a conflict in the making.
So from a legal perspective, how does the U.S. immigration system evaluate an applicant's intent to abide by the nation's laws, and what role does this play in eligibility for visas, residency, or citizenship?
Well, people who immigrate to the United States, especially people, say, from Afghanistan who come on these special immigrant visas, they go through extensive vetting on their background, their family members, their commitments to the American rule of law. They do biometric screenings. And what I'm not sure many people realize is not only do they go through vetting and screening in their countries of origin, that happens again in the United States. And then in the case of this individual who committed this horrific crime, he was again vetted when he applied for asylum, which was granted earlier in the year. The problem when we try to evaluate potential applicants, immigrants into the country, we can have all of this screening, we can have many procedures in place, but there still is a bit of uncertainty about someone's future behavior. When I look at this individual, I don't see so much a failure of vetting or screening. I see some type of potential individual mental health crisis that caused him to take the life, these horrific shootings. And I think going forward, the type of solutions we need to find are solutions that safeguard our national security while still upholding our global leadership as a humanitarian nation that welcomes people from all over the world, from persecution, people fleeing violence, and particularly when we talk about fleeing religious persecution. The largest group of people who receive asylum are Christians, who are very often fleeing religious persecution in countries like Iran, in Africa, and other countries in the Middle East. But I would like to see a more balanced approach. I think my sense is that's where the American public is. We know from Gallup just this past month that 79% of Americans think immigration is a good thing for the U.S.
Raul Reyes, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.